My name is Yair. In this video, I'll be sharing with you a Zoom call I did with my mentor and friend, Mark Scherer. He's also the founder of a company called Encompass Life, which I've been working with for 2 years now. My life has completely transformed ever since I started working with him in all aspects. Mark's been studying consciousness for 35 years. He developed a powerful system to assist people in completely transforming their lives very quickly. He's all about fun and ease. He used this system for himself to go from stuttering to clear speech in just a few minutes. He also had tumors in his throat because he held back his expression for so long. He coughed and spit those out using these systems and healed himself of that. Mark's coached people in relationships, people that were looking to get a divorce, and after working with him, now they're in love again. He's worked with people that had financial issues, struggling with money. After working with him, now they doubled, tripled their income. He's worked with people that had trauma that they felt was holding them back from their greatest potential. They felt that they could never heal from what happened to them. They healed the experience with this system. In this video, me and Mark talk about a variety of different topics. We do a deep dive. I made sure to timestamp all the different topics we covered so you guys can skip to which ones apply to you. Super look forward to you watching this. This is jam-packed with value and things you can apply to your life right now to get transformation. I'll be putting a link for Encompass Life down below if any of you are interested in checking them out. Let's get started.
Hi, Yair.
Hi, Marky. Yeah.
Yeehaw. Why is that yeehaw so important, Yair?
To get me into enthusiasm and to get me out of my head,
Awesome.
to stop thinking and feeling fearful and feeling like I don't want to do it, and
Yeah.
get me into the action.
Yep. For me too. If I can just do something right off the start that's out of context for what's normal, changes everything very, very quickly. Do something really, really unexpected. And when I do something really unexpected, it shocks my system. It shocks everybody else around me. Everybody's like, oh, something happening here.
Doing something completely random.
Completely.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
people, and when I've done it, people look at me like I am crazy. I mean, whatever. They could think what they think, but I'm the one that's freeing myself, so
Yep.
it's
Instead
cool.
of being all up in the how am I going to do it? How how can I be playful? Right. What's the right way to be playful? Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, but I'm doing this, so I'm being embarrassed. Blah, 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 blah. Man, whenever we do the little playful exercises in the class, I mean, you see how people's stuff comes up right in the middle of it. People get embarrassed and they'll get up and they have to do this little dance and song type of a deal, and they will get up and start to do it. They'll
Yeah,
I don't know how to do this.
yeah. Some people, yeah, exactly. Some people get so embarrassed that it the embarrassment is like holding them back, like they're shutting down in a way.
Yeah, it's freezing
Like
them,
they're about to do it. Yeah, they freeze. Yeah.
freeze them, and you know, whatever shows up when you're going to, I say how to say this, as to go to the next level of abundance in your life, say a next level of love and express and a relationship. You have to go to your own next level of self-expression. If you can't go to the next level of self-expression, then you're be imprisoned in that box of shame, and you're only going to be able to manifest your life with that current level of shame is allowing you to have.
Mm.
Hmm. So just do something crazy, something. I mean, and people go, I'm gonna go out and get really drunk. Well, that's a way to do something, maybe, but that's also a way of bringing in mass unconsciousness as well.
Yeah.
Do something that normally you would have to be drunk to go do.
Yeah. And it takes courage to do that.
Yeah, not like go out and have sex with 15 people, but go do something um, that's fun in a new way that you don't have to think about. One of our, remember us were talking about one of our clients. She just did a session about having more fun, having greater levels of fun in her life. And she was
Yeah.
talking to me about having that session with one of her other coaches. And she said, when I was having the session with me with her other coach, she goes, "Oh, the voice in my head was like, what's fun? I don't even understand what fun is." And oh my, oh my God, am I really going to like fun? And, what is? Oh my, this can be so embarrassing. Like all these voices were coming up in that person's head. And then she said she goes to she's making these decrees about being fun, and she goes to Target, and there's a guy in a wheelchair that's kind of edgy, and and she said she looks at him, they make eye contact, and she goes, "You want to race?" And he goes, "Yeah, let's race." And he takes off. He takes off down the store, down the main aisle of Target, and goes, "Get out of the way, we're racing." Get out of the way. And so she's running behind him, and all the people are creating a path and clapping and cheering him on. I mean, that's so out of context for her. She's like a medical doctor. She's kind of, I mean, she's playful to a degree, but that's like way next step for her. Most people, they get attached to a particular character or a particular emotion, and they think that emotion or that character is them. In other words, somebody who's pissed off or somebody who's who has anger or resentment, and they have that perspective on life. That's all they can see. And if this happens, people go, well, what do you expect? When this happens, this is what I do. This when if this happens, when this happens, this is what I do. So they're already conditioning themselves for that reactive personality again over and over and over and over again. If
Yep.
that instead of being, they can still um, keep that personality, but instead of being that no choice reactive self, be where you can play that reactive self, like play it way over the top, way more dramatically. You know, if you're needy, needy, and you feel whatever discounted by friends or boyfriend or girlfriend, and get needy in a relationship and clingy, instead of and get pissed off if you don't get the attention, then you can play that role. Like, hey, I get kind of clingy if you leave me alone. I really could like some cuddle time. And
Yeah.
you can say all those same things, but say it from a place of playfulness, and your partner's going to go, really? That can be
Yeah.
kind of,
And then it actually makes, like, if I do that, it makes me look like I'm confident when I do that. Whereas if I try to hold it in and suppress it and like, oh my God, this is bad, that's what it brings weakness. Like that, it just makes me feel weak.
yeah,
And it makes the pattern bigger and the thoughts get bigger and like, oh my God, what are they gonna think of me? And this is bad. Whereas as soon as I can play with it and have fun with it, that's when it just dissolves.
yeah. Met dated women who were, I would have considered like a little nutso, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, they would get into that and girls can make them men that way too. It's not like it's a a sexist thing. It could be from and whatever. I mean, it just happens in a relationship. All of a sudden, like the little nutso self comes out, and all of a sudden the self comes out. And there's no clear communication. All it does is come out, get pissed, and defend itself. But you can kind of play a little wacky, and the playing it can be kind of sexy or fun or whatever. I mean, you can add spice to the relationship, But when somebody's attached to it, it's like maybe it's fun for a little bit, but then after a while, it's like enough of this already. There's all this drama going on in the world right now. We got MAGA, and we got woke, and we got this, and we got that, and all these labels existing together, or try to vie for power and whack each other and get rid of each other and hate each other and all that stuff. And patterns, the way I would try to explain it here is, have you ever been somewhere where life isn't? And we talked about this in
No.
class. Yeah, no, it's impossible to be somewhere where life isn't. And whenever I'm talking about God, I'm talking about life, capital L life, not like little squeaky life, but like my life going down to the corner store and getting a pack of cigarettes. No, my about big L life, the whatever this energy field is that's created everything. Where there's all this big soup, all this drama is coming from a belief in separation from life. A lot of the stuff in the Christian modality and some of the religions, they believe they're separate from life, and they believe they have to do something good enough to get back to life. They have to do something right enough, be good enough. They can't do something bad. So they're caught in their own eternal dialogue hell of trying to be good enough, not be wrong. What are people going to think about me and all that stuff? So they have the imprisonment going on, self-imposed imprisonment inside themselves. The Then there's some of the woke stuff that's going on. They believe they're separate from God in another way. And both of those movements have the kind of the same thing in common. They're looking for something outside of themselves, or a set of circumstances outside themselves. Since they can't control what's going on inside their own self, they're looking for something outside themselves in order they can feel secure inside themselves. That makes sense. But both of those movements, until they can actually begin to realize that they've never been separate from God, they've never been separate from life, and we can begin to see that with them, that there's a fulfillment that comes up inside the individual, and a trust that comes up inside. Once they have that, they quit looking for the outside world for things to appease them, right?
Yeah. What are some things you've seen people look to the outer world to appease them? Like as an
Drugs.
example.
Yeah, I saw a really cool video on YouTube a number of years ago, and it said the greatest feelings we can have as humans, sex is an 8 out of 10, psychedelics is a 9 out of 10. They said the only thing that was above that was the conscious use of our co-creative gift. In other words, our conscious union with Source and being able to consciously manifest. And that's why so many people get sidetracked along the way, and they get lost into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll type of a thing. And so they're looking for those things in order for them to feel happy, or for those to feel loved, or for to avoid the pain that they have inside themselves. And that pain will stay in place until people begin to understand how this wonderful gift works and become competent in it. As their competency grows, their boldness and velocity of the manifestations will continue to increase, as well as their fulfillment. And you've been doing this for a couple of years with us here, yeah.
Yes.
And has it occurred with you as you've done this?
One thing that's coming up for me came up earlier too, um, is like before I was in a constant state of fear because I also thought I was separate from life, and I thought that if certain things happen in my life, like, oh, if this happened, it would be really bad, or if this happened, and then I would sympathize with people because, oh, things are unfortunate events, and life is random, and life isn't really fair, and uh, it's just randomness. And
Mm-hmm.
then being in this work and realizing, whoa, I'm the one that's creating my reality. There's a blessing in every situation.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to see past events that have happened to me from love and actually see how those events made me into who I am in today, and actually my greatest qualities came from those traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm in a place where I'm starting to feel like, wow, thank you, Marky.
You're welcome.
Gold star.
Gold
Now
star,
I'm in a
baby.
pl now I'm in a place where I feel like no matter what happens in my life, I got this. And it's for my greatest good, and I can handle whatever comes my way. And whatever comes my way will actually evolve me to my next level. And with that, pain is another big thing. Instead of running away from pain and being like, oh man, I don't want this to happen because I'd feel pain and all this crap. It's like, no, give me pain, because the pain is what's going to give me motivation to keep going and keep improving. So I'm even seeing pain as a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So everything is really starting to change. When I see life, it's life, everything, all my feelings, all my thoughts. I was telling this lady this. She asked me like, "Oh, what did you get out of our first event in body? What did I get out of my first body electronics?" I said, "Oh, I started to, instead of like running away from my fear, I started realizing that feeling my fear is important, so then I can also feel my love on new levels. Like it's important for me to feel all my feelings fully." And she's like, "Oh, that's why it's called Encompass Life." And I'm like, "Exactly." Like she's smart, so she said that. But yeah, it's appreciating all of life for what it is.
Yeah. And the thing you mentioned about pain too, I came through some pretty tough pain to be able to find the tools we're using here. And I used to hate the pain when I was in it. I mean, it was it was tough. I mean, childhood was tough. Had a lot of pain in childhood, and that pain carried on into my adult life. I found ways to cope with it, but it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But to me, it's the pain for me was a way to wake me up. Um, it finally got to a place where like, okay, enough. There's got to be something else here. And yeah, and I tried different healing modalities, and none of them had really worked. Or maybe it would alleviate somewhat, but nothing really dramatic. And when I found the systems here, the the pain began to shift really, really quickly. And I noticed as as the pain began to shift, I started having a lot more room inside my head because the pain, like back to the pain, was so encompassing that it had taken over all my thoughts. All I could think about was pain. As the pain began to alleviate, I noticed I had room for thoughts. So I started to be able to pick and choose what I was going to put back in my noggin. So it was a wonderful clearing process for me. And to the degree I have now, I've been able to see the beauty in my own pain. And if somebody else comes to class with a lot of pain, or one of our clients comes in with a lot of pain, I know that there's beauty in that pain, and all I have to do is stay with that person, and then they'll be able to see it within a very short period of time and make a huge shift in their life very quickly. It goes back to the expression "holy shit," and I really believe inside all of our crap there's a nugget of gold. Our job is just to go in there and find it. As long as we don't judge the crap good, bad, right, or wrong, you're okay. If there's a nugget of gold in here, it's a big nugget, big pain, big nugget. Then I'm gonna go in there and do it. And I can wash up later. So get in there, find out, get in there, find out what it's about. Come up with the gold nugget, and go, wow, wow. May have been a little funky going into it, a little stinky going into it, but look at the size of this nugget. Wow, got me a 5 pound nugget here. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. But I've seen you do it in class with people. The sympathy thing comes up like, oh man, wow, that really does suck that you went through that. And for a moment, it's like, is there even a blessing in this? That doubt can come in. So I talk to people about this stuff too. Everything's a blessing. Dude, when I say that, some people get pissed. They come with all these stories of, oh, what about kids that get raped when they're 6 years old? Is that a blessing? And I'm like they whatever I tell them, they don't want to believe that it's
Uh-uh.
possible for people to have greatness within the trauma.
Mm-mm.
They are trying to prove to me that life sucks, that life isn't fair,
Yeah,
that people can't heal from certain things, that trauma ruined someone's life
yeah,
and they can't fix it.
yeah,
Therapist I spoke to said things like this.
yeah. And
And it's almost like talking to that type of person, it's like, all right, believe what you believe. Come to a class. Come
yeah.
see for yourself. What do you think about that? I know
I
you've
mean,
talked to a couple.
I've worked with people who actually had experienced being being raped at age 6, and when I heard, and it wasn't just raped, it was gang raped at age 6, being given LSD and being gang raped at age 6. So some really, really horrific stuff. When the client first told me about it, probably 8 years ago or so, I was pissed that somebody could do that to a precious, precious child. I mean, just pissed. And said, hey, we need to go talk to her. Let's take you to, because it wasn't just a one time thing. Um, it was a continual abuse over a course of many years that this stuff was going on with these people. I worked with 5 people total who've been through stuff like this, and it started like at age 4, 5, 6, and some of them went all the way into the 20s, and then when they quit being in that sex slave culture, I guess, or whatever, whatever. It's like I could say all kind of labels about what it is, but when they were of no use to the culture again, in that capacity, they were getting too old. They weren't fresh enough for the people, whatever. They turned into recruiters. So even though they had done this really horrific stuff, this is all they knew. And so they would go out and they would recruit other people. And that's, I mean, this is, so not only did they have that stuff going on inside, that they experienced themselves, but then they had gone out and started recruiting people. I said, well, let's go talk to law enforcement. Let's go talk to this. Let's go talk to it. So we already did all that. What they
Were they
tell
still
you?
recruiting people when they talked to you? No.
What's that again?
Like, were
Um,
they?
one of them, no, they weren't. One of them, one person she had become a coach, but she was struggling in her coaching. And, she said, she said, I may have to go back to recruiting. She said, I don't want to, but I can make, four or $500,000 a year recruiting. And this was, like I said, 8 or 10 years ago. So, she goes, it's just like, becoming a coach and doing this is really, really tough, and to be able to make money. And she said, I don't, know what to do. And she, I've been considering going back to it. So we worked together over, she's a member several months, and basically put her back together again. When somebody goes through that level of trauma, if that trauma is also hooked up to a pleasure response, when the person is going through that, they feel really guilty about the pleasure response the body's producing. So anytime the person would get something good begin to happen in their life, the red warning signs would go off inside them. Pleasure equals pain, pleasure equals pain, pleasure equals pain, pleasure. I feel guilt. One of the they all of them said, I've had these traumas and I feel guilty about feeling good. So this guilt and shame is keeping them from being able to go to their next level in life, and they just have a glass ceiling. So as weird as it sounds, the person has to give themselves the permission to be able to feel good in life, to be able to have pleasure in life, to be able to have pleasure in a healthy environment. And once they do that, they all just blew their glass ceilings away in a matter of a session or two.
What does
So,
that look like? Like blowing the glass ceiling? Because
yep,
there's people that might watch this and they really don't think it's possible at all to heal any of the stuff you just said.
yep.
So
So,
what shifts real shifts that you saw in these people?
yep. So worked with a woman who had sexual assault. She had also, she was an attorney, and her business would get to a certain level of income and it would implode and it would drop down to, maybe a third or a quarter of it. To build it back up again, work really, really hard, get it back up, get to a level of where it's going to go into a state of ease, blow it back up, and it would drop down. So it was this constant bing, 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 bing. Same thing with the relationships. Relationship would start out wonderful. They'd get to a certain level, and then the pain response would kick in. She would go into a state of guardedness, guarding whatever, and something would show up in the person. She goes, I recognize this pattern. I'm not gonna trust this person. Like she was trying to compartmentalize everything in love, and you have to look a certain way. She couldn't trust anything that was outside of this made up notion she had inside of herself. So relationship would blow up. She had a couple of divorces. Um, most of her I think her relationships, the longest relationship she had was maybe 3 years, something around 3 or 4 years. So just, even marriage and the whole thing was maybe a couple of years, and then, poof, puff and gone. So we started working together. We did, choose now, maybe half a dozen sessions. And I didn't see her for a while, and I had a class where she came into the class, and she looked so dramatically different. She had lost weight. She looked younger. I mean, I'd seen her maybe 3 or 4 months, and she came to the class and said, who are you? She got, I did coaching, with you in another class. Yeah, but who are you? You look familiar.
Wow, dude.
You look
If
familiar.
you didn't recognize her, then that's
I mean, she
like,
probably lost 30 pounds,
wow. Yeah, that changes everything. I mean,
changed everything.
looks like a different person.
Totally different person. Changed her hairstyle, changed, she just, like, yeah, you look familiar, and I know you, but what I know you, where do I know you from? And she told me, and she told me, like, oh my gosh, you look great. I'd only met her in person one time before that. Most everything we did was over Zoom. She looked so dramatically different. She goes, hey, well, thank you. She goes, my business has tripled since you and I worked together. tripled from not from where it was, but from where my high point was. It tripled.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. So she tried tripled my business in like 6 months. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. She goes, and I go, and what? She goes, I'm dating a guy. And she goes, guess what? What? He goes, he is so different from anyone I've ever been attracted to, anyone I've ever had in my life. Here's how we work together. If something comes up, we sit down and we talk things out. She used to go with she used to respond by the silent and blast, like hold it in until they hold it in, then blast.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, me too. Like hold it in and blast, hold it in, blast, hold it in, blast. Boy, oh boy, no one enjoys being around that.
Mm-mm-mm. Hell nah.
I'd much now for me, I've had a pattern of holding things in. I'm in a relationship where partner was holding things in, and I was like, man, how is she holding things in? And one day she just let me have it. It was the best day in our relationship up to that point because when she let me have it, my normal response would have been the way I used to be back in my kind of wild days was, I don't need this shit. I'm out of here. See you later. That was my glass ceiling. So instead of doing that, I just said, hey, what else you got inside there? Thank you so much for sharing what else you got. And I meant it. I meant it because we were in such a pattern of holding, such a pain of holding it in. When it came out, it was, oh my God. You may not like it right now, but it's way better than all the solid treatment. And all of a sudden I could see like, man, we can talk things out. We can actually do this. So
Wow.
it was glorious, man. Still is.
Yeah. Every time you've shared it with me, you have a smile and
Yeah.
you're really proud of it. So,
Yeah, it's awesome because I was becoming my dad again. My dad held things in and took it out on people. I could feel the tension in the house, like cut it with a knife kind of a deal. Being able to get this information out, even if you don't like it, to celebrate is coming out. That's really important.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially in a relationship.
Yeah, especially in anything.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's true in anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
boss, boss, sometimes I think you're a nutso. Really? Tell me about that.
Yeah,
Tell me
for
about that.
real, man.
Man, the way things are run around here is a bunch of crap. Really? Tell me about that. So what we're doing here, we're helping people in relationships or whatever. We train people to become coaches. But if you're in a place of leadership, I mean, how important is it to be able to stay in the pocket if somebody's blasting you?
Everyone's in a position of leadership to some degree.
Exactly.
We all get blasted at some point, right? I mean,
Even if it's by a 3-year-old, right?
yeah,
Mommy, I hate you.
anything.
Mommy, I hate you.
Yeah,
Mommy, you're so mean. Cool. What do you mean by that? Tell me how I mean.
that is, it's love, man. Love
It is.
is the answer. It's just, I remember when I was going through one of my relationships and I had my coaching sessions with you and things were getting really toxic in the relationship and I was definitely getting the silent treatment from the person I was with. At the time, I was in the state of mind of like, I'm right and she's wrong. And I really was like, I don't even know what to do. Like, this is just messed up. I had my coaching session with you and you just said, like, whatever she says, just stay in your love. Oh, what else you got? Oh, thank you for sharing. And when you said that, like something just changed in me. I was like, wait, I could do that? Like, that's
Mm,
possible? Because things were so different for me at the time. Like, I was just so used to reacting to if she would get pissed. I was so used to just reacting to it and feeling all like embarrassed and ashamed and like feeling like I did something wrong. I remember watching that part of the call where you told me what you said, like just stay in your love and just what else you got? Yeah, thank you for sharing. Like I watched that snippet of you saying that to me like 6 times or more. Like I watched it so many times just to keep reminding myself like, wow, that's possible. That's possible. And then I started doing it in the relationship and then staying in my love, I started seeing things very clearly. And then I left the relationship because I was like, oh, this is just, yeah, what had me even in this relationship? And then I left. And then now being able to do that with my mom.
mm,
And so carrying just that ability to be like, wow, no matter what comes my way,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
When
a
you're
blessing.
in, if you're in the toxicity of a relationship, you can't see the toxicity of the relationship. Like a fish doesn't know it's in water. If somebody's in a toxic relationship, they don't. Their friends can see it. Everyone else can see it, but the people in the people in it, they're blinded by it. All they can see is anger, resentment, and frustration. That's all they let themselves see. And then once you can put the lens of love on top of it, be able to see through the lens of love, you go, oh, I'm doing this, and this is what's happening. I'm doing this. This is what's happening. I'm noticing this. I'm noticing this. I'm noticing this. Love and truth are synonyms basically. Without,
Yep.
if you really love somebody, you're going to tell them the truth.
Wow.
So you got to, and script is, everything we do here is basically scripture. It's not religious, but spiritual laws, spiritual promises. And in scripture, it says God is love, God is light, God is life, and God is truth. So rather than saying God is classes, normally we say big L love or big L life or capital T truth. Not most people go, well, let me tell you my truth. Well, that's your opinion, dudette. That's your opinion. And most people treat their opinion as truth. And it's based on anger, resentment, and frustration. So all it's going to do is produce more anger, resentment, and frustration. There's no truth inside of it. Truth, when a person speaks truth, ease will occur. Until there's truth being spoken, it's going to be tension in the relationship. And if somebody's in a whole bunch of lies, they will get pissed at truth. That's what lies do. So you got to take a breath, go through it. Okay, I can do this. I can sign out of it. Work through it.
Wow. Yeah,
Wow.
it's cool that you say that because something that once I told myself the truth, once I started loving myself in the toxic relationship example, once I told myself the truth of like, wow, I choose to leave this relationship and wow, I'm 22 and I have all these things ahead of me and like pursue personal growth and like leave this business I was in and all these things, like really be truthful with myself. Ease, man. Just like wow, like clarity. Like it went from doubt, what do I do? Oh my God, what if I feel sad if I leave? And just all this chaos, man.
Um,
As soon as I just told myself the truth and like it felt like straight connection with God, which is truth.
yep.
It was
And those,
just, oh my God, this is what I'm doing. And
yeah,
dude, from that day on, everything has just been a little bit easier. And now I'm at my next step of like, okay, where's the truth and where I'm at now?
mm,
The clarity keeps increasing.
yep. And all that toxicity in a relationship, what it does, it produces a person's body is a chemical producing factory. The chemicals you produce in a state of anger, resentment, or frustration are way different than the chemicals you produce in joy, enthusiasm, and happiness, gratitude, respect, reverence. They all have a different they all have a different frequency and a different result in the body. Toxic chemicals produce toxicity in the body. And I tell people this, that the chemicals we produce in those states of toxicity are just as toxic to our system as cocaine is. Now, most people don't realize that they're producing these chemicals when they have a choice about them. So it's like, I don't ever want to do another bump again while your person's continuously doing a bump without even knowing they're doing it. So people, when somebody's doing a drug from an outside source, they're snorting, popping, shooting something with it, drinking and whatever. So there's an outside action that they know that they're getting this fix from. So a lot of times, getting people off the addiction from an outside source can be way different, way easier than getting somebody off addiction from an inside source. Because first, they have to realize that they're the ones that are actually producing the chemicals they're addicted to. That addicted to drama. You've seen that in relationships. In those relationships, what the individuals are doing is they're attempting to fix what was wrong with their mother or father. If it's a woman dating a man, whatever issues she had with her dad, she's just going to find somebody. If the toxicity with that parent hasn't been healed, then they'll either find somebody who has those same qualities, but this time they're going to fix them because they couldn't fix dad. The little kids love their parents. I mean,
Yes.
kids love their parents. So when the stuff starts going awry with the parents, like they want to fix that relationship. They like to have that relationship back to love and cherishing, and where they're supported and loved and cared for. So if they didn't get it with their parents, couldn't fix it with their parents, they're gonna find a partner like that and try to fix it with them. Like that doesn't work. Or they'll find somebody totally opposite of those traits, and if they haven't healed it, they'll turn that person into that toxic relationship again. That's fascinating when they turn them into that. I did that for a few decades.
Yeah, that's wild. That from my experience, I feel like it's the first one you shared, where like people are trying to change the other one.
Hmm.
But actually turning someone into that
Oh, I
is an
did
int
both. I did
yeah.
both. I found the dated, the dated women who were just like my mother was schizophrenic. So I dated women who were, they'd go from, hey, Mark, how you doing? I hate you. I mean, like in seconds, like, wow, like what is going on here? And I'll go, hey, like
Mm,
what's going on, baby? Like, hey, let's just work this out, and they would just go like once that personality would kick in, it would kick in. And
yeah.
then, or I'd find women who were perfectly sane, and I would drive them nuts with my behaviors. That was, whew, that was a that was a tough pill to take a look at. That was a big deal to see that inside myself.
Yeah. Until people heal their relationship with the parent, it's just gonna keep happening again and again.
Yep. And it's interesting, the word heal you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. And most modalities talk about forgiving, and about forgive, 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 forgive. Um, Once something we do something way deeper here, there's exercises we do, and not only does the person forgive, but they actually go one step further, because forgiveness only gets the person kind of back to, it's okay with my parents, and it's like, I forgave them. What we do here is the person's actually going to find they're actually going to find the lesson inside of it and be grateful for the experience with the parent, and they're actually going to thank the parents for that experience, no matter how tough it is. They're actually going to there's something the person's going to find right in the middle of that. And they go, oh my gosh, I'm finally beginning to see the purpose of this, and I'm really grateful for it. Thank you, mom and dad. Thank you, mom. Thank you, dad, for this experience. And it's always going to be something that's going to elevate them spiritually. It's always going to be something that's going to have them experience a brand new level of love that only can be found in a trauma that big. The bigger the trauma, the bigger the level of love that's going to be found inside of it. And I have people say I'm nuts for saying this, and I guarantee you, people say there's no way. I can't even imagine forgiving my parents, much less thanking them. 10 minutes later, thank you, mom and dad. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just went from that to being able to thank them in 10 minutes. So beautiful.
Yes.
The beauty
Is
of
that
life.
is hmm is that what you think is so different about the way we're doing it here with the coaching?
Couple things. Yeah, we go in a little bit way deeper. The other thing too is most modalities are talking about thinking positive thoughts, don't think negative thoughts. Um, this is, this is right, this is wrong. So they're still in that state of duality. What we do here is we get above the state of duality and we look at actions and results. Here's what you're doing. Here's the actions you're doing. Here's the results you're producing. Instead of beating yourself up about trying to do it right or monitoring your thoughts or any of that stuff. Because I did those modalities and I had some level of improvement with them. But to produce the breakthroughs like we're doing here in the short amount of time, this is the first thing I've seen that goes this deep, this quick, and produces results. We have to remember we had just did a call, year and I did, our leadership class, and there's a guy on there who had worked in another modality for 20 plus years. And I got some improvements and done well and had some breakthroughs at work or whatever. And by the way, he does real estate. We've been working together for about a year. He's getting close to doing a month to what he was doing in a year. Like, so he's going to more than double or triple his income. If somebody's holding on to anger, resentment, or frustration, then their manifestations are going to be filled with anger, resentment, or frustration. You've seen some people come to class and they have breakthroughs and go and have double, triple level of income changes and go from getting a divorce to having a whole next level of love and not going back to what they had previously because most of the time that stuff was kind of screwed up anyway. It's all the problems they had 10 years ago when they thought they were in love is way different than what the type of love that's being produced in the classes that they're beginning to see, and where it's genuine mutual respect, gratitude, and appreciation. And if kerfuffles show up, instead of maybe being enamored by a person's physical attributes, that they can, well, they're really hot, and so I can put up with some of this stuff because that's not gonna work for very long.
No.
So there's a whole other level of deep appreciation comes in, trust. Whole other level of trust comes in.
Yeah. As they find it in themselves.
Yeah.
It's the only way that it's going to be long lasting. What has it die off quick is when I'm looking for it in someone else. And then it's just lead to disaster. It's just when I find it within me, and I can only love someone to the degree I love myself. That's the name of the game.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I feel like because I've done other work too before I met you, and I feel like a big thing that's definitely different about what we're doing is a sympathy piece. That is so big, man. Like seeing everything as a blessing. Because there's some things where it really is like it's like, wow, that is bad.
Yeah.
That's the initial mortal mind, right, wrong belief.
Yeah.
What I realize is, I realize this deeper and deeper continuously. If I make something even a little bit wrong, I can't help someone. Like it's just there's no way I can help them through it because I'm agreeing that it's a bad circumstance, that that shouldn't have happened, that that is an unfortunate thing. And then there's no way to heal from it or forgive it or
Mm-hmm.
get to a place of, wow, this is so great. Now let me use this to go to my next level.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to do that if someone's seeing it as a wrong thing.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
fundamental basis of what we're doing, of everything is a blessing, period, is I feel like a big piece of what's facilitating people's upgrades at such a fast level. So no matter
Yeah.
what's coming our way, we're like, yep, this is great. Boom, boom, boom. This is what it is. Next level, next level, next level.
Yeah. Celebrating life, like celebrating everything in life. Somebody will get really pissed in class. And I go, oh, that's awesome. You're really pissed. Yeah, I hate you. That's great. What else you got?
He really does do this, guys. He really does do this. There's been a few times that I can remember right now where I had some stuff going on in my life, and I thought it was so like I was so in it. And I was like, oh, this is so bad. What's Mark gonna think? And what is he gonna say? What is he gonna say to help me through this? And I just call you and I'm like, this is what's happening. That is awesome. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's just so unexpected.
Yeah.
But when you
And
would say it, immediately it was like something dissolved
yeah.
in the pattern.
And we've had I've worked with a lot of people with substance issues as well. One of the things here, we don't work to get people off substance issues. I mean, it's just what we do here is we show them that there's a higher frequency that they get to experience a higher frequency in life. When some people are doing substance issues, they're like, life sucks. I'm not good enough. I can't do anything. I'm just going to do a little bit to feel a little bit better. This is a way. This is a way I can relax. You know, I can't have fun unless I have a couple of drinks. All those justifications and things that are so cool. Great. Glad you have them. But it's going to keep you in this level of self beat up. It's going to keep you in this other reality. So here you start to be able to imagine the person begins to manage their life at maybe 10 times or 100 times more love, gratitude, and appreciation, being able to give and receive love at 10 times or 100 times greater. Well, hey, at that level, are you still doing drugs? No. Okay, cool. Let's just do that then. So you find, no one, I wasn't raised to think about life at 10 times or 100 times, being able to give and receive loves at 10 times or 100 times greater levels. It was kind of like, where, how you feeling? Oh, okay. Not too bad. Could be worse. Like that kind of crap.
Yep.
So as people begin
Nothing's
to,
wrong, which is already
mm,
a good thing.
well, no problem, no worries.
That's
So. And
yeah.
as they begin to move upscale in consciousness, all that stuff begins to fall off. And sometimes I'll have people that they'll go back and try the drugs again. They'll call me, and go, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? I I fell off the wagon." That's great. They go, "What do you mean that's great? You're not upset with me?" No, that's awesome. Like, what do you mean? What's so awesome about it? What's I said, because what happens if somebody falls off? What happens is the shame, blame, guilt, and hate about what they just did is what keeps them stuck back in that pattern again, and they start repeating that pattern again and again and again over and over. So I'm like, great, that's wonderful. What's so wonderful about it? So what are you noticing when you were sober? Well, I noticed this, this, and this, and this. Cool. And what are you noticing right now? Well, I got these thoughts, these thoughts, these thoughts, these thoughts. I'm tired. I'm jagged. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Now you can finally see the contrast. You've had sobriety. Now you get to see this. Now, which one do you choose? I choose sober. Okay, wonderful. Now just say, oops. As soon as they say that, it's all over. All the shame, blame, and guilt up. Even people are like, man, I'm still walking around with the effects of being stoned. I feel like I'm still stoned from a couple of days ago. I can't get the stuff out of my head. I'm still lethargic. They say, oops, and all of a sudden, all their clarity comes back and everything in seconds. It's not necessarily what you're doing. It's the beat up that goes along with it. Does that mean I'm gonna go do drugs? No, because I love life so much now. It's like, I love life. Back years ago, I was like, man, my level was successful to me as being 70 years old and being sit on the front porch and smoking a big old fatty. I thought that was gonna be, I thought that was gonna be that was gonna be on my level of success. Now it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, like,
That
man,
would suck.
yeah. Well, maybe I do. Maybe at 70, I'll rip one out, but it would be, like, there's no
Yeah.
attachment. Yeah, I mean, I would have freedom of choice to do it either way. No game, same way, go and do it again or not do it again would be told. There's no the addiction and that repetitive thought process is done. Even when I got into doing this, I just drank from the age of 13 on. So I had all that stuff going on, and I went to a class, and I've been smoking, and I got out. I had I cleaned myself up. I got out of one class. I felt so great going to a friend of mine's house and go, man. And they said, hey, we got some really, really good stuff to smoke. I said, oh, awesome. We'd like to smoke. I said, oh, man, if I feel this good now, you got some really good stuff. I love it. Yeah, I'll take a hit, see what it does. So I took a hit, and I mean the self chatter came back instantly. And one of the things I remember so anyway, I came back and I cleaned myself up from that. Um, I did fasting and recommit to myself and all that cleaned up. But I remember
Mm.
I used to go to bed at night thinking about what I'm going to eat in the next morning. I used to go eat, and then what am I going to have for lunch? And I go have lunch. What am I going to have for what? So food was always in my mind, right? If
Yeah.
anybody ever had that deal going on, and I did
Me
a fifth.
right now,
Yeah,
lol.
yeah, yeah. So I did a yeah, especially if you're stoned, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I had that driving voice inside my head that my thoughts were taken up by what am I going to eat next? What's going to be, what is going to be? And I did a 15-day fast. I didn't eat for 15 days. And
Wow.
I noticed that voice drop down, drop down, drop down, drop down, drop down. So I mean now I eat and stuff, but it's that voice isn't like I don't go to bed at night thinking about what I'm going to eat the next morning. I don't get done eating what I'm going to have for lunch. Make like all that compulsiveness around food and where is it going to be. And I remember even saying, if I don't eat, boy, I get cranky. So I got to go through that voice.
Okay, because you shared the fasting with me, but now you're saying it with the voices, it gives more perspective.
Hmm.
Like, oh, you had voices around food that were
Yeah,
constantly there. So
yeah.
starve out the
Or
voices.
or man, I had a bad week. I think I need to go out and then drink a couple of drinks because I had a tough week. Oh, I had a great week. Let's go out and celebrate. But the behaviors were still the same. Go out and drink.
Wow.
Those behaviors start with a kid. Like, oh, honey, do you have a bad day at school? Let's go. How about we go get an ice cream? Oh, dear, you did so great on that test. How about we go get an ice cream? So those self rewards that are sugary, unhealthy treats start getting programmed into a kid at a young age, and they just keep going until they start doing it as an adult too. But they just change their vice. In the position where I am, I get to see all this stuff and be able to comment on it. So instead of just dope, life's just another day, another dollar. Like,
Yeah.
what is life about? What's really going on here? Be able to see this stuff. So cool. So thank you for being on the call. Yair and I are planning on doing more of these, so please attend for the next one. And Yair, you have anything to wrap up to say about the call?
Yeah, just I really enjoyed our conversation. Really powerful, really beautiful stuff. And thank you everyone for watching.